Well, you know, I went out to your Chicago Surrealism exhibit a long time ago.
I remember in '76.
Yeah.
I do remember.
So that seemed like an amazing thing to do with no money. I'm assuming you had no money.
No, well, no money was right. What happened was that space was an old carriage barn, and I guess the carriages were on the first floor, and the horses were on the second floor, and who knows, maybe the hay was on the third floor because it looked like a hayloft. But the first floor became a famous restaurant called Ireland's, and the second floor was really raw and a mess, just totally a wreck. I mean, they'd been piling junk in it for years, and plaster was crumbling and everything. And Robert Greene rented this space and had to clear out about 2 dumpsters full of junk and then whitewash it. And that's where we had our exhibition. It was fairly cheap because there was a technique back in the days of urban renewal where they would rent something cheaply to energetic young people, knowing they would clean it up and fix it up. So, after a year of work, we did our exhibition there, and it was a fantastic space. It was right downtown. It was beautiful, big windows, everything. And I think our exhibition went on from May Day, maybe through August, and then we had to take it down for one reason or another. Some people wanted their art back. And we were preparing for another one when the landlord said, the lease that you have is not valid. But it was a regular signed lease. So Greene got a friend attorney who admired our art, and they went to court. And they went to court 3 times, but the third time Greene lost, and we lost the whole gallery and everything. And it was really less than a year. I think they had signed up for maybe a 5-year lease or that. But we really basically did not have money. It was just hard work that we put into it. And friends did send stuff from all over the world. We had wonderful stuff from Portugal and some artists from Africa who were living in Portugal at the time, and from England and from Japan, and mostly people put up their own money to do this. Of course, things were a little cheaper back then.
But this is sort of well after you had started publishing. Let's go back to high school.
High school, for Franklin or for me?
For both of you, and how you met, and et cetera.
Okay. Well, Franklin didn't like high school. He was at Proviso, and he was editing a small magazine. Who knows, maybe the first of an underground zine idea. In any case, he mimeographed it on a really old mimeograph called A Lantern. And he managed to get in considerable trouble at the school because the Lantern was always criticizing the administration. And it had quite a following. But because of the trouble he got into at the school, his gym teacher told him that he was going to fail him in gym. Now, in Illinois, this is a real catastrophe because if you do not have 4 years of gym, you do not graduate high school. But anyway, by this time, Franklin's 16 years old, and he's already been obsessed with beatniks, and he can't stand it. So he just goes to the highway and goes to San Francisco and stays out here for as long as he can. Then I think they went down to Mexico. Then they came back to San Francisco and went to Seattle, hitchhiked all over the West Coast. Really loved every minute of it. So meanwhile, I'm in high school out in the country, and I'm studying chemistry and science. And then I went to Lake Forest College, thanks to my uncle, and I was still studying chemistry. But I had a run-in with the chemistry department. I wanted to go to an anti-war demonstration in Washington, 1963, I believe. And there was a chemistry quiz coming up. And I used to believe that honesty was the best policy. So I went to my chemistry professor and I said, I'm going to this demonstration in Washington. It was actually anti-nuclear. We weren't quite as aware of the war then. He said, chemistry has to be your first and foremost commitment. You can't go to a demonstration. If you fail this quiz, if you're not here for it, you fail chemistry. And, well, I said, okay, goodbye. So I really didn't want to be intimidated like that. I didn't want somebody to start running my life. It turns out he did give me a D in chemistry instead of an F. But I decided that there was more to the world than chemistry. And my uncle pointed out that if you do get a job in chemistry, it's probably for Standard Oil or something dreadful. So I started taking anthropology classes and other more interesting classes. But then, when I met Franklin, he said, oh, it's so great in California. The beatniks are so great. Surrealism is so great. I thought, oh, good. We're going to go to California soon, and then I'll get to see it. But for some reason, we never got out here. We went to Paris instead because we wanted to meet Breton, and we just never did get out here together. So this is my first time out here.
Wow.